Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma, and with me is R.S. Raghu, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that Gujarat's coastline emerging as synonymous with renewable energy and hydrogen ecosystem. India strives to have a relationship with China built on mutual sensitivity, respect and interest, says External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. India making a huge leap, climbs to 40th rank in the Global Innovation Index of World Intellectual Property Organization. NATO says leaks from Nord Stream gas pipelines appeared to be sabotaged. Finland to bar Russians with Schengen tourist visas from entering the country from Friday. Hurricane Ian leaves path of destruction at southwest Florida in the US. And the 36th National Games begin at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the government has made sincere efforts to make Gujarat's coastline the gateway to Indian prosperity since last 2 decades. Mr. Modi said this in Bhavnagar on Thursday.
बीते 2 दशकों में गुजरात की कोस्टलाइन को भारत की समृद्धि का द्वार बनाने के लिए हमने ईमानदारी से प्रयास किया, रोजगार के अनेक नए अवसर खड़े किए। गुजरात में हमने अनेकों पोर्ट विकसित किए, बहुत से पोर्ट्स का आधुनिकीकरण कराया। गुजरात में आज 3 बड़े एलएनजी टर्मिनल है, पेट्रोकेमिकल हब है और देश में गुजरात पहला राज्य था जहां पहला एलएनजी टर्मिनल बना था।
The Prime Minister said that the Gujarat coastline is playing a big role in the country's import-export besides offering employment to lakhs of people. The Prime Minister said that Gujarat's coastline is emerging as synonymous with renewable energy and the hydrogen ecosystem. He said that the port of Bhavnagar will play a big role in building a self-reliant India and hundreds of new employment opportunities will be created in the area following the expansion of warehousing, transportation and logistics business. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said that India strives to have a relationship with China that is built on mutual sensitivity, respect and interest. He also asserted that the improvement and strengthening of the Indo-Pacific is a shared goal of New Delhi and Washington. Briefing the media in the United States after concluding his 11-day visit, the minister said that India and the United States have a shared objective for the betterment and strengthening of the Indo-Pacific. He said that the world today is very globalized, extremely interlocked and interdependent. On the Indo-US ties, Dr. Jaishankar said that the relationship between India and the US today impacts the rest of the world. He said that there are a lot of countries that look to the association individually and bilaterally and hope for solutions that the world is searching for in many aspects. He stated that both the countries have recognized this as a relationship with great capability and potential and that there is still much opportunity for regrowth. Referring to the bilateral talks between India and the US, a solid, positive and productive, the External Affairs Minister said that the visit was very comfortable.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a commentary on India's External Affairs Minister's visit to the United States. The writer is Professor Chintamani Mahapatra, editor, Indian Foreign Affairs Journal.
Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visited Washington, D.C. after his visit to New York for the 77th UN General Assembly, UNGA. The External Affairs Minister interacted with a host of American ministers, senior officials and also with the Indian diaspora in the U.S. Dr. Jaishankar's diplomatic interactions, remarks, speeches and press statements have one big message to the international community that India is a confident, powerful and peace-loving member of the world and is prepared to play its role in managing conflict situations, promoting peaceful resolutions of disputes, and forging cooperative economic ties with countries for global stability and prosperity. One transformational change in the tone and language of Dr. Jaishankar could be noticed, which signaled that India would no longer be a silent spectator of false propaganda, half-baked observations, and remarks on our internal affairs. Indian strategic analysts and foreign policy commentators have long been aware of biased reports about India in the Western media. Dr. Jaishankar's criticism of such biases reflects that India now seeks to counter external propaganda and clarify Indian positions on various developments. This is important to make the attentive public and researchers in the West aware of Indian point of view as well, and help them not to base their understanding of Indian affairs only from the media reports. In this meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, the External Affairs Minister discussed bilateral political coordination, working together in a plurilateral and multilateral formats, and exchanging assessments on collaborating on important regional issues and global challenges. The Ukraine conflict and the Indo-Pacific situation also figured in the talks. Dr. Jaishankar shared with Secretary Blinken his experience of interactions during the UNGA about the deep anxieties in the global south on fuel, on food and fertilizers. The increasing salience of green growth, digital development, and affordable health is today very evident. We must not let current developments jeopardize Agenda 2030 on SDGs or to deflect from climate action and climate justice commitments. Our cooperation in different bilateral domains is progressing vigorously. The External Affairs Minister and Secretary Blinken did a comprehensive stock-taking. Dr. Jaishankar also met U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo to review those areas too. The External Affairs Minister engaged with think tanks and policy analysts for a better understanding of India's concerns and interests. In all deliberations, the External Affairs Minister reiterated India's commitment to address the global volatility due to COVID-19, conflicts and climate events. India and the US have a strong interest in encouraging more resilient and reliable supply chains. This requires policy decisions as well as practical measures involving the business community. Both sides are focused on those goals. The digital world mandates a greater emphasis on trust and transparency. On critical and emerging technologies, India and the US agreed on expanding research. National security, economic security, technology security are all enhanced by closer collaboration. It is also in a mutual interest to facilitate the development and mobility of talent. The two sides agreed that impediments in this regard should be addressed. There is a keen interest in India's National Education Policy, NEP, and both sides will explore how that can best serve to expand the partnership. On mobility, specifically visas, given its centrality to education, business and technology and family reunions, there have been some challenges of late. India expressed confidence that the US side will look at this problem positively. All issues were evaluated not just in the bilateral context, but also from the perspective of the Quad and the I2U2. Both sides are keen to move forward on the Indo-Pacific economic framework. The two countries are committed to contributing to the betterment of the global commons. India and the US believe in rules-based order, respect for international law, and adherence to the UN Charter. India-US cooperation is today visible across the length and breadth of the Indo-Pacific and perhaps even beyond. It has many facets and expresses itself in different ways. The two sides agreed on countering radicalization, extremism and fundamentalism. India is widening its international footprint, and there are many more regions where we will be intersecting with American interests. It is to our mutual benefit that this be a complementary process.
India has climbed to the 40th rank in the Global Innovation Index of World Intellectual Property Organization. This is a huge leap of 41 places in 7 years. In a tweet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "Innovation is the buzzword across India." He expressed pride at country's innovators, saying India has come a long way and there are even newer heights to scale. Commerce and Textiles Minister Piyush Goyal in a tweet said that India is innovating like never before. He said the steady rise testifies that India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is rapidly emerging as the global innovation hub. The World Intellectual Property Organization on Thursday released the Global Innovation Index 2022, in which Switzerland has emerged as the world's most innovative economy for the 12th consecutive year. Switzerland remains the world's leader in innovation for the 12th consecutive year. It leads globally in innovation outputs and specifically in patents by origin, software spending, high-tech manufacturing and production and export complexity. The second position was secured by the United States, followed by Sweden, the United Kingdom and the Netherlands.
India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal has complimented the service sector for its excellent performance in exports and asked all the stakeholders to focus on the natural competitive advantages of the country. He said this while addressing the inaugural session of the Services Export Promotion Council's India at 2047 Services Sector Exports Strategy, Skilling and Internationalization of Higher Education on Thursday. The minister asked the service sector to focus on innovation and build competitive advantages. He said that the Indian industry must move beyond the traditional outlook and be modern, contemporary and practical. Mr. Goyal said that the services sector had set an export target of $350 billion, which it was on track to achieve. He also urged the EPCs to consider exploring new markets such as South America and Africa. President of India, Ms. Draupadi Murmu, said that India has emerged on the world stage with a new self-confidence and that the world is looking at New Delhi with new admiration. Addressing a group of officer trainees of the 2021 batch of the Indian Foreign Service who had called on her at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi on Thursday, she said that India's economic performance is a major factor to establish it on a stronger global position. While Ms. Murmu appreciated the ongoing transformations on multiple fronts as a great platform for opportunities, she also highlighted the challenges that come along with it.
Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said that India's international image has completely been transformed due to the bold decisions taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well as the gallant deeds of the armed forces. Addressing armed forces personnel in Tezpur, Assam, Mr. Singh said strengthening India's military prowess has been the government's top priority ever since it came to power since 2014. With focus on equipping the services with state-of-the-art weapons and equipment through an Atmanirbhar defense industry. The Raksha Mantri appreciated the fact that the government's efforts have resulted in making a strong military which is fully capable of protecting the nation from all kinds of threats. The minister visited the forward areas of 3 corps in Anini, a village in Dibang Valley of Arunachal Pradesh. He made an on-the-ground assessment of the country's defense preparedness along the line of actual control by taking stock of the entire gamut of security-related aspects. Indian Minister of State for Commerce and Industry Anupriya Patel said that constructive cooperation coupled with trust and transparency is key to tap the trade potential of SCO member states. She was making an intervention at the 21st meeting of Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO ministers responsible for foreign economy and foreign trade. The minister mentioned the opportunities available in the SCO region for mutually beneficial, balanced and equitable gains for all SCO members. She stressed on the need for effective cooperation between SCO member states for a balanced and equitable growth in trade and commerce. The minister stressed on the need to work towards enhancing affordable access to medicines, therapeutics, vaccines as well as healthcare at affordable prices for fighting any pandemic, such as COVID-19, to preserve the life, livelihood, food and nutritional security of the poorest. Ms. Patel lauded the recent initiative of SCO wherein city of Varanasi has been nominated as the first ever SCO tourism and cultural capital for the period of 2022-23. She expressed hope that this will help promote tourism and people-to-people interaction and boost trade and economic cooperation. The virtual meeting was attended by the representative of SCO Secretariat and heads of delegations of China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan.
The Indian Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar and the Chief of Australian Navy, Vice Admiral Mark Hammond, reviewed the progress of the ongoing maritime engagements between the two countries. Both the admirals discussed ways to strengthen the Indian-Australian Navy partnership in the Indo-Pacific. The Chief of the Naval Staff held a meeting with Vice Admiral Hammond during his 2-day visit to Australia. They expressed their commitment to pursue collaborative activities in several areas of bilateral convergence. Our correspondent reports that the discussions highlighted the need for raising the level of synergy and focused efforts for overcoming the challenges of the maritime environment. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to World News. NATO on Thursday said leaks from the Nord Stream gas pipelines appear to be sabotaged and vowed a determined response to any attack on their critical infrastructure. The Western military alliance said in a statement that currently all available information indicates that this is the result of deliberate, reckless and irresponsible acts of sabotage. These leaks are causing risks to shipping and substantial environmental damage. NATO said it supports the investigations underway to determine the origin of the damage. The statement said that the alliance was committed to prepare for, deter and defend against the coercive use of energy and other hybrid tactics. Sweden's Coast Guard on Thursday said a fourth leak had been detected in the pipelines running from Russia to Europe after explosions were reported earlier this week. The vast leaks come as the West and Moscow square off over the conflict in Ukraine, and the Kremlin is accused of using its energy stocks as a weapon to pressure Europe. The UN Security Council will meet on Friday to discuss the matter. Finland will bar Russians with Schengen tourist visas from entering the country from Friday, the government said on Thursday. This comes after a surge in arrivals of Russians following Moscow's mobilization order for the war in Ukraine. Finland Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto told a press conference that the decision aims to completely prevent the current situation of Russian tourism to Finland and the related transit through Finland. He added that the mobilization order had a significant impact on Finland's decision.
An Australian professor and former advisor to Myanmar's ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been jailed for 3 years by military authorities. Sean Turnell was detained in Yangon in February 2021, days after the military government arrested Ms. Suu Kyi and overthrew her elected government in a coup. Along with Ms. Suu Kyi, he was charged with breaching the Official Secrets Act, which they both denied. They were sentenced on Thursday in trials. Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong said that the Australian government has consistently rejected the charges against Professor Turnell. She said that they will continue to take every opportunity to advocate strongly for Professor Turnell until he returns to his family in Australia. On Thursday, Ms. Suu Kyi was also sentenced on the secrecy charges to another 3 years in jail. She's already been sentenced to more than 2 decades in prison on over a dozen counts brought by the military government, with several charges still remaining. If convicted on all the charges, she could face almost 200 years in prison. North Korea fired at least one ballistic missile into the sea on Thursday, hours after the US Vice President Kamala Harris flew home from a visit to South Korea. It was the third round of missile launches by North Korea this week. North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles on Wednesday, while Harris was in Japan and fired one before she left Washington on Sunday. Ms. Harris earlier capped her 4-day trip to Asia with a meeting with the South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and a stop at the demilitarized zone dividing the Korean peninsula. The visiting leader described the North Korean missile launches as provocations meant to destabilize the region. She said the United States and South Korea remain committed to the complete denuclearization of the North. Earlier, Harris met President Yoon at his office in Seoul and reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to defend South Korea with a full range of its military capabilities in the event of war.
In Iraq, at least 13 people have been killed and many injured in Kurdistan region in a missile and armed drones attacks by Iran. The Iraq State News Agency said 13 people were killed and 58 injured in the attacks near Erbil and Suleimania regions. The Iran's Revolutionary Guards have confirmed that they fired missiles and drones at militant targets in the Kurdish region of neighboring northern Iraq. The strikes were reported after Iranian authorities accused armed Iranian Kurdish dissidents of involvement in unrest now shaking Iran. According to media reports, between 25 and 35 million Kurds inhabit a mountainous region straddling the borders of Turkey, Iraq, Syria, Iran and Armenia. Australia's dirtiest power plant, responsible for more than 3% of the country's emissions, will shut a decade earlier than planned. The The coal-fired Loy Yang, a power station in Victoria, will close in 2035. Its owner AGL Energy said Australia, which is one of the world's biggest emitters per capita, has long been considered a climate policy laggard. AGL is the nation's biggest electricity generator and polluter and has come under pressure to limit fossil fuels. Loy Yang emitted 16.6 million tons of greenhouse gas in 2019-20. According to most recent data, Australia in total emitted 513.4 million tons during the same period. AGL Chief Executive Damien Nix said in a statement to Australia Stock Exchange that closure is a major step forward in Australia's decarbonisation journey.
In the United States, Hurricane Ian has left a path of destruction in southwest Florida, trapping people in flooded homes and snapped power to 2.5 million people on Thursday. Ian's tropical storm force winds extended outward up to 665 kilometers, drenching much of Florida and the southeastern Atlantic coast. Volusia County Sheriff Office said that they found a 72-year-old man dead early Thursday in water in Deltona. Emergency crews soared through toppled trees to reach people in flooded homes, but with no electricity and virtually no cell service, it was impossible for many people to call for help. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has warned people to get ready for a nasty couple of days. The director of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Deanne Criswell, has warned that damages from Hurricane Ian will be catastrophic. The U.S. government body, which protects people from natural disasters and other hazards, has said that thousands of people could be displaced in the long term. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, during her visit to South Korea, said that the U.S. government is fully committed to providing all necessary support to those affected by the hurricane. The storm previously tore into Cuba, killing 2 people and bringing down the country's electrical grid. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 36th National Games at the Narendra Modi Stadium in the Motera area of Ahmedabad city on Thursday. Addressing a huge gathering, the Prime Minister said that the official mascot of the 36th National Games, Savage, inspired by the Gir Lions, represents the strength, grit and determination of our athletes. Mr. Modi said that world-class infrastructure will play an important role in encouraging athletes and improving India's performance at global competitions.
देश अब केवल योजनाएं नहीं बनाता, बल्कि अपने युवाओं के साथ कदम से कदम मिलाकर आगे बढ़ता है। इसलिए आज फिट इंडिया और खेलो इंडिया जैसे प्रयास एक जन आंदोलन बन गए। आज खिलाड़ियों को ज्यादा से ज्यादा संसाधन भी दिए जा रहे हैं और ज्यादा से ज्यादा अवसर भी मिल रहे हैं। पिछले 8 वर्ष में देश का खेल बजट करीब करीब 70% बढ़ा है। आज देश में स्पोर्ट्स यूनिवर्सिटीज बन रही है, कोने कोने में आधुनिक स्पोर्ट्स इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तैयार किया जा रहा है। इतना ही नहीं, रिटायर होने के बाद भी खिलाड़ियों को कोई तकलीफ न हो, इसके लिए भी प्रयास किया जा रहा है।
The Prime Minister said that power of sports enhances the identity and the image of the nation in manifold. He said that the victory of the players in the field with their strong performance paves the way for the victory of the country in other fields. He further added that during the past 8 years, there's been massive development in the field of sports in the country. The budget allocated for sports has increased by 70% in the last 8 years.
2014 से फर्स्ट एंड बेस्ट का जो सिलसिला देश में शुरू हुआ है, हमारे युवाओं ने वो जलवा खेलों में भी बरकरार रखा है। आप देखिए, 8 साल पहले तक भारत के खिलाड़ी 100 से भी कम इंटरनेशनल इवेंट्स में हिस्सा लेते थे। अब भारत के खिलाड़ी 300 से भी ज्यादा इंटरनेशनल इवेंट्स में शामिल होते हैं। 8 साल पहले भारत के खिलाड़ी 20-25 खेलों को खेलने के जाते थे। अब भारत के खिलाड़ी करीब 40 अलग अलग खेलों में हिस्सा लेने जाते हैं। आज भारत के मेडल की संख्या भी बढ़ रही है और भारत की चमक भी बढ़ रही है।
Mr. Modi said that schemes like Target Olympic Podium Scheme, TOPS, are playing a big role in the success of big players and creation of the new future players. During the event, the Prime Minister also virtually inaugurated the world-class Swarnim Gujarat Sports University at Desar in Vadodara. India's ace players including Neeraj Chopra, Anju Bobby George, Ravi Dahiya, PV Sindhu, Bajrang Punia and Mirabai Chanu were felicitated by Prime Minister Modi on the occasion. More than 7,000 players from 28 states and 8 union territories are taking part in the 36th National Games, the biggest sports bonanza in the country.
Today is World Maritime Day. Every year on the last Thursday in September, falling on 29th this year, people around the world commemorate this day to recognize the hard work of people engaged in the industry. Our correspondent reports that the day sheds light on the role seafarers, service agents and marine officials play in people's lives.
The theme for the World Maritime Day this year is New Technologies for Greener Shipping. The need to promote a green transition of the maritime industry into a sustainable future while leaving no one behind is reflected in this year's theme. It offers a chance to concentrate on the significance of a sustainable maritime industry and the necessity to rebuild better and more sustainably in a post-pandemic world. The 2022 theme will also enable a variety of initiatives to focus on particular issues relating to the promotion of inclusive innovation and the adoption of new technology to aid in the marine industry's need for greener transition. A strategy for future sustainable green economic growth in a sustainable manner must include the development of a safe, secure and effective international shipping industry. More than 80% of the world trade is delivered to people and communities via maritime trade. In India, Paradip Port Authority Deputy Conservator Captain A.C. Sahu hoisted the World Maritime Day flag at the Marine Side Office. The students also participated in an awareness rally in the Port Township. A seminar was also held at the Officers Club on Thursday evening. Desk report, AIR World News, New Delhi.
In Bangladesh, the Dhaka Metropolitan Police has assured that the highest security measures will be taken during the 5 days of Durga Puja celebration, starting from Saturday. Addressing the media in Dhaka Thursday about the security arrangements during the Durga Puja, Police Commissioner Mohammad Shafiqul Islam said the law enforcement agencies will ensure round-the-clock security at 242 mandaps in the capital city of Dhaka this year. The 5-day celebration of Durga Puja will begin with the unveiling of the face of the deity on Mahashashti Day on Saturday.
And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post reports that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says Storm Ian has brought historic damage to the state. President Biden approves a major disaster declaration for Florida.
New York Times writes that inflation in Germany soared to double digits for the first time in decades.
Wall Street Journal in a report says that UK Prime Minister defends tax cuts as market unrest continues.
The Guardian notes that more than 1,700 murders of environmental activists were recorded over the past decade, according to a new report.
South China Morning Post says US seeks to reassure Pacific Island nations with $810 million package.
Japan Times says Japan to target spending of over 5 trillion yen by foreign visitors.
And now before we end, a quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that Gujarat's coastline emerging as synonymous with renewable energy and hydrogen ecosystem. India strives to have a relationship with China built on mutual sensitivity, respect and interest, says External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. India making a huge leap climbs to 40th rank in the Global Innovation Index of World Intellectual Property Organization. NATO says leaks from Nord Stream gas pipelines appeared to be sabotaged. Finland to bar Russians with Schengen tourist visas from entering the country from Friday. Hurricane Ian leaves path of destruction at southwest Florida in the US. And the 36th National Games begin at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad.
And now before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Uganda.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.